The Blue Spirit is the 13th episode of Season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender and is widely considered one of the best, if not the best, of the whole season. The characters, the music, the action are all incredible, and that is why today I will explain why The Blue Spirit is amazing. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe, it will really help out the channel. Comment down below which episode I should cover next, but without further ado, let's get right into it. The opening scene of this episode does a great job at building a threat level, especially when it comes to Jiao archers. It is so important for them to be an actual threat to the gang, and especially Aang, since they are the ones that capture him later on. So if they are not capable warriors, it is so unbelievable for them to capture the Avatar, which is at this point not that believable that a bunch of non-benders actually capturing, since we haven't seen Pian Dao yet or these great non-bending masters up to this point. They do a great job, is a stretch. They do show us the archery and what they're capable of, but they do a little bit too much telling, especially on the superiors part that Jiao is speaking to. He gasses them up a little bit much and saying like they can hit a fly from 100 yards or 100 meters or whatever he says. It's fine, but it's not really great writing. They could have spoken about something more important, maybe about the Hunt of the Avatar or something else than just these archers that are just now we're introduced to. So it loses a little value there and some exposition that is frankly unnecessary and should have been shown to us. And therefore the capturing of Aang later feels just a little forced and unearned, although it's not a huge issue. The conversation between Jiao and his superior is a good back and forth, I think. They have fun chemistry, and Jiao is honestly very good until he got absolutely sniped in the Deserter episode, or character assassination. Here he feels like the snake when he gets promoted. You honestly feel good for Jiao, and it's a pretty great moment, honestly, and you just feel like, yes, he stuck it to the superior, honestly. And then I don't know why. It's honestly good to get on his side for once. One thing, why is Zuko there on the roof while they're having this conversation? I never got this. Aang hasn't been brought to the Citadel or the Stronghold yet, so why is Zuko having an interest in this? Why is he there listening to this? Very convenient, honestly. And he should have if I rewrote this episode, I would have made Zuko find out in a different way, more natural. If it's that he's just there to be there and he needs to know the plot, he needs to know where the plot is headed and what their plan is, and therefore he's there, I guess. But he's just spying on Jiao at this point. And how did he get in so easy? Well, it's shown that he gets in easily later, but I feel like it's just so too easy almost for him at this point. We later get a scene with the gang, and it's cute. It's them just hanging out, being themselves. Them getting sick is just, obviously they would get sick. We get to see their normal side, and that's what I love about these season 1 openings, and this is no different. It does follow the canon. The Storm episode was before this, and Sokka getting sick and then Katara getting infected is just perfect, honestly, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's perfect. It just gets a little continuity in there. Feels like this is actually a full story than just individual episodes, which is great for a whole season that has a overarching narrative. The staff canon, which is famously pretty poor. If you haven't watched the overanalyzing episodes, go watch that full series. He does a great job at overanalyzing, obviously, every episode, and he really points out the staff continuity is really bad, and he loses his staff all the time. So honestly, I feel like it's great that he leaves it because of the lightning, and that is honestly great because he doesn't like it gets taken away and then he has to find it again, and it's just tedious to the fact that he just loses it. He loses every single fight. Like, I cannot remember a single fight that he just holds on to the staff for the whole time. He always drops it, loses it. I don't know, it gets stolen. It's honestly frustrating. Zuko is a main character in this story, along with Aang as our secondary lead. But it's really Zuko that gets the main character development. Here we see his first sign of defeat, really. In the first half of season 1, Zuko most often has an unwavering determination, an unusual determination, because it never goes away. He believes, he has faith that he will find the Avatar and get back home, and he can't dare think of anything else. But when here he's faced with the reality of, yeah, Jiao has captured the Avatar and it's over for him, and that's why he decides to go in as the Blue Spirit. He takes destiny into his own hands, and that is our first step for Zuko to really take his life away from the Fire Nation and into his own hands so he can do something with it. We see some of those cracks here, and I just love that start of that journey he goes to. Since the first season 1, he's really one note on purpose, but it's here we see the cracks in this episode and a little bit the last. So this 1-2 punch of the Storm and the Blue Spirit is just, it's the best of season 1, and it's just amazing. But he's starting to go against his nation here. He breaks in and frees the Avatar, and that is just strictly against the Fire Nation. Obviously, it's in his own interest to do that. And honestly, it's just, that's one step on this journey, since he eventually goes against the whole Fire Nation later in season 3. So this is the first step, and it's great to see that he's really this conflicted, since he wasn't really conflicted before. But here we see those thoughts going through his head, and he starts seeing the good in Aang also in those final scenes, or in that final scene where it's just quiet and he doesn't say anything, but Aang asks if they would have been friends. It's short and sweet and wonderful. Honestly, one of the best scenes in the whole show. When it comes to Aang, which is the secondary lead, as I said, we don't really get any character development from him in this episode. Him needing to find the frogs and then keep the frogs in the citadel or stronghold is somewhat silly, I guess. Especially when he's been freed by Zuko and he's just chasing the frogs. Get out of there, you can get more frogs later. Kind of silly, kind of drags the tension down a little bit. Him saving Zuko is really admirable, but honestly expected. That's why I call the no real development on his part, since was anybody watching that for the first time was like, oh no, he's gonna leave Zuko. No, obviously he's gonna take it, he's the hero. It was pretty expected. When I talk about the final scene, again, it's only a few words, but with so much meaning. Being friends, or Aang asking if they were gonna be friends, or if they was gonna be friends if they lived 100 years ago. It's so endearing, and it speaks to Aang's youth and kind of whimsicalness. I don't know that word, but you know what I mean. It's just a short and sweet scene, and I feel like if you saw the Netflix Avatar version, they really dragged that scene out too much. Here it's just to the point, a few words, and it's perfect. If you move over to Jiao, he's really at his best here. The calculating, knows about everything. He really has his nose in the weather and just can predict a little bit. He's one step ahead of Zuko, and he even knows about the cycle of the Avatar cycle. That's why it doesn't kill Aang, which is a great canon version of not killing them, since there's a lot of times where the villain captures the hero and everyone's like, why doesn't he kill him? And then he drags and stalls and gives time for the other heroes to save him. But here it's a canon reason to keep Aang alive, which is great. It gives Aang's life a value, so to speak. It is kind of dark, honestly, for a kid show, I'm not gonna lie. But Jiao, he feels threatening, he feels knowing, cunning. He's so great here. He's a conniving little snake, and you kind of hate him but love him at the same time. Not easily angered as well when Aang blows him over. He's calm, which is so strange that is so angered and easily manipulated later in The Deserter, which if you haven't watched my video on it, go check that out, because that's one of my main complaints that they assassinate his character. I don't understand what they were thinking, because here he's so calm and Aang just blows him over when after he gets captured, and he just stands up and like, oh, you can do it, like you're captured, you're done. Like he doesn't care because he already won. He knows that getting angry isn't a good thing in that moment. And that's the same in The Deserter, but there he just goes into this crazy rage, and I'm like, is this even the same character? So here he's definitely the best, the conniving little piece of shit, honestly, and I just love him for that. The main focus of this episode is the action. It's basically a whole action set piece, and it does that phenomenally. Story-wise, we haven't really moved forward. If we like skip the whole episode, nothing would really change. Like Aang just gets some frogs for them being sick, and Zuko saves Aang from something he experiences in the episode. So like if we skip this episode, nothing would really change, but it's still so good since we get some character work in it, and that especially on Zuko's side, and that's what makes it so great with the action scenes that are honestly stunning. The capture of Aang is, it's fun to see non-bending, it's exciting, it's a little too easy. As I explained before, it feels a little unearned because we haven't really seen the archers over a lot of episodes or the whole season. We only saw them in this beginning, so it doesn't feel that impressive, honestly, and feels like it's too easy that they capture Aang, which have been pretty hard to capture up to this point. So it feels either Aang is kind of weak in this, or they're too, it just feels weird. It feels weird. When it comes to escape, though, such great choreography, stunning shots, great animation. It's just a perfect action scene. It's got that little goofiness, especially with those ladders they try to walk over with like Zuko on his back, and it's really shown that it only works in animation, because they try to do that exact same thing in real life when they did the Netflix Avatar, but it just doesn't work for some reason, because it feels way too goofy when it's not in animation. But here it works so good. It's grounded with Zuko's, or the Blue Spirit, let's say that, sword play, and he's just amazing with that choreography, but also superhuman with Aang's bending and those stunts that they just execute. Last and definitely least, we have the siblings. And honestly, I feel like it's a great decision by the writers to keep them out of this episode as much as possible. And if I rewrote this episode, I would probably cut all of their scenes, because they do not add anything to the narrative. And this is a Zuko Aang episode, and is driven forward by their character development, especially Zuko's. So having these little funny moments where, oh, they're sick, cough cough, and Momo, oh, get water, and he gets everything else. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's not a great joke. It's an okay one. And honestly, it's good that it doesn't hit as a good joke or a great joke, so it's like laugh out loud funny, because that would really suck the tension out of the main storyline, since it's such a serious episode in general. That is why I talked about Aang trying to get his frogs when they're trying to escape. It's just silly and kind of ruins the tension. That is the same thing these scenes does to the whole episode. So why not just cut the whole thing when the jokes aren't that funny? They're not like super funny, and if they were, they would really ruin the tension. So now they just throw away scenes, so why not cut the whole thing? But yeah, they do their job. They sit there being sick and being a little plot device, so they're doing fine, nothing special, but they let the real stars shine in this episode, and that is a great job by the writers. Speaking overall, the action is one of the best in the whole show, no doubt. Especially that escape scene is just transcendent. We get that bending plus hand to hand Zuko's swordplay, the choreography. He really shows up in this one. The humor, not meant to be super funny. You get some in there, but honestly, the Sokka and Katara is overdone, so that drags it a little bit down. We have some funny moment with Jiao that's transcribed. It had a funny one-liner. So as well, the herbalist is pretty funny. So yeah, it's just the Sokka being sick thing is a little overplayed. The music, let's talk about the music. Classic. There's honestly no one like this, no episode that is this good. Maybe there is, but right now I'm on a Blue Spirit high. The Blue Spirit jingle is just, man, that is maybe the best thing ever written for this show, because that is so great. And we have the music while they're escaping is thrilling. Yeah, oh my god, this music is so good, especially for season 1, where they have some really goofy music, especially early on. This is so great, serious, not always serious, but just great. With all those factors in mind, I would give this a really high grade, and it is one of the best episodes. There's a few things dragging it down, as I said, but it's definitely up there in the top tier, along with the Storm and, in my opinion, Jet. I know a few people, I saw a comment about that not being such a great episode. It's great. Watch my episode on it, and hopefully you change your mind, or maybe write a comment on why it isn't, so maybe I'll change your mind. But yeah, thanks for watching this far, and please like if you enjoyed this breakdown. I have posted many like it, and will post one new every week, so subscribe so you don't miss a single video. If you have any way for me to improve the content, just comment that down below. I would really appreciate all the feedback I could get. But until next time, I hope you have a great week.